Have you ever felt the pain of having the same intrusive thoughts looping in your head over and over again? As a chronic overthinker myself, I know how exhausting this can be and how disruptive it can be as well to your day-to-day life. If you're watching this, then it probably means that you can relate to the same feeling, and if that is the case, then I'm really sorry that this is something that you're suffering through. There are usually three main reasons for why we overthink. Number one is that we worry about the future. For example, you could have a big presentation that you have to do at work next month, and the stress of it is just keeping you up at night. Number two is that we ruminate about the past. So you could be beating yourself up over a mistake that you made, or maybe you're still hung up over someone who had wronged you in the past, like an ex. Number three is that we suffer from analysis paralysis. This is about having anxiety about decision making and making choices. So today I really just wanted to share some pieces of advice that I found particularly helpful, gathered from years of therapy and mental health books. Timestamps below as always, because I value your time. So to all my overthinkers, this is for you. But before we get into it, I just wanted to say that if you really are struggling with overthinking, despite everything that you've tried, including the tips in this video, then there might be a deeper issue that is going unaddressed. In this case, seeking professional help is probably the best way forward, especially if the overthinking is making it hard for you to function on a day-to-day basis. One way that you can do that is through BetterHelp, who are kindly sponsoring today's video. BetterHelp connects you with a licensed therapist who is trained to listen to you and give you unbiased advice. Over 4 million people have started using BetterHelp to live healthier and happier lives. Therapy has personally helped me to overcome a lot of challenges in my work life, my relationships, and problems with my family. And every single time, I've always come out of the other end stronger and happier. I know from firsthand experience that starting therapy can be really hard, which is why people can be reluctant to seek out help. One reason could be that the right therapist may not be in your immediate area. The great thing about BetterHelp is that they have over 30,000 licensed therapists in their network who they can connect you with, and that will give you a wider range of expertise than would otherwise be immediately available to you. Some people might find the idea of face-to-face therapy really uncomfortable. I know I do, which is why I've always done therapy through video call. BetterHelp gives you the option to have your therapy sessions either as a phone call, a video chat, or even through messaging. You can choose whatever is the most comfortable version of therapy for you. Getting started is pretty easy. All you have to do is fill out a questionnaire, and this will help to assess your specific needs, and then BetterHelp will match you with a therapist in as little as 48 hours. You can schedule therapy sessions at a time that's convenient for you. If the therapist that you're matched with isn't the right fit for you, then you can easily switch to a new therapist at no additional cost, and you don't even have to worry about insurance or anything like that. If you think you might benefit from therapy, then you can check out the link in the description below, or you can go to betterhelp.com/tika in order to get 10% off your first month of therapy. The most immediate thing that you can do is to get yourself to do an activity that will force you to stop thinking about that negative thing. It's been proven that multitasking is a myth. You literally cannot hold on to two thoughts at any one time. We can take advantage of this by doing something more constructive in order to occupy our brains with. If you do that, then your brain will literally have to stop thinking about that negative thing. Immerse yourself in an activity that's going to be intellectually, creatively, or physically stimulating for you. Something intellectual would be listening to a podcast, for example, and I personally love listening to Diary of a CEO by Stephen Bartlett, and normally I'll listen to his podcast when I'm going for a walk outside or if I'm cooking in the kitchen. Reading is also a really great one because it forces your brain to focus on whatever it is that you're reading. Something physical would be exercise. For example, for me, I really love going on walks and I love going to the gym as well. And for me, gym is honestly like therapy. When I'm there doing my sets, I literally cannot think of anything else and I'm just so focused on what I'm doing in the moment. Something creative could be painting or making YouTube videos or writing or anything really. The next thing that you can do is to put things into perspective. This is about looking at the bigger picture and realizing that the thing that you're worried about in the future or the thing that you keep ruminating on in the past actually doesn't matter in the grand scheme of things. Try to ask yourself, how will this thing that I'm worrying about affect me 5 or 10 years from now? 99% of the time, it probably won't. For example, if there's something embarrassing that you did that you just can't stop thinking about, just think, even in a year's time, you probably won't even remember it yourself. Or let's say that you have an important presentation to do at work next month and you're tossing and turning every night just worrying about it. When you put it into perspective, the actual presentation itself is only 15 minutes long. 15 minutes is literally 1.04% of your day. Let's zoom out even further. That's only 0.0003% of your year. Just to drill my point even further, let's say you live until 80 years old. That is literally only 0.0000355% of your life. Look at how insignificant those 15 minutes have become. It kind of makes you think, why are you wasting an entire month just worrying worrying about something that is only going to last 0.000000355% of your life. It doesn't make sense, right? It's crazy. It's very human to catastrophize things in our heads, so if you find yourself doing this, then put your worries into perspective. Another great thing that you can do is journaling. Journaling allows you to pour out your thoughts and emotions so that it doesn't continue to sit in your mind. There are so many studies to show that journaling helps to significantly alleviate stress and anxiety. Personally, I really love journaling, and I only really do it for about 5 to 10 minutes, and every single time I will feel so much better. I immediately feel happier and more in control of my life. If you're new to journaling, then these are a few journaling prompts that you can use to start off with. Number 1 is, what is the intrusive thought that I'm having? And 2, how does this intrusive thought make me feel? 3, why does it make me feel that way? And number 4, what can I do about it? And if you realize that it's not anything that you can do anything about, then maybe it's time to learn how to let it go. Reflecting on your thoughts by journaling is a great way to put things into perspective, and labeling your thoughts and feelings helps to make them feel a lot more manageable. The next tip is to practice self-compassion, and people who overthink tend to severely lack compassion for themselves. In other words, you need to stop being so hard on yourself. Trust that you did the best that you could with the information that you had at the time. Think about it like this: if you had known what you knew now back then you probably wouldn't have made the same decisions. You wouldn't have stayed in that relationship longer than you should have, or you wouldn't have wasted all that money investing in that pyramid scheme. This might take some practice, but try to reframe the idea of making mistakes and learning from them as a positive sign of self-growth, as opposed to a sign that you're just incapable or incompetent. Because you're not. You're just human, and you need to learn to have compassion for yourself and to forgive yourself when you make mistakes. The next thing that you can do is to talk to someone. Sometimes we just need a good rant to let things out, and talking to a loved one or a friend is a really great way to do that. Please make sure that whoever you're speaking to is in the right frame of mind to be receiving your rant, because we do not condone emotional dumping on this channel. Check in with them first to see if they're in the right headspace to listen to you. And this is great as well because they can help to provide a third-party perspective on the matter, and this will help to neutralize your negative thoughts. Like I mentioned at the start of the video, if you feel like your overthinking is getting out of hand, then you might want to seek out professional help. This next piece of advice is especially relevant if you suffer from analysis paralysis and have a lot of anxiety around decision making. I know that I do, especially as a Libra. So this next tip is what I like to call Obama's 51% decision making rule. Stephen Bartlett actually references this in his book Happy Sexy Millionaire, which is where I got it from. As president, Obama had loads of world-changing decisions to make. With so much on the line, how did he manage the anxiety and the pressure that came with making all of these big decisions? So according to Obama, number 1 is to accept that you won't ever make the perfect decision. And this is exactly what he says. The first step is to be comfortable with the fact that you're not going to make the perfect decision, not all the time, maybe never, and understanding that you're dealing with probabilities so that you don't get paralyzed trying to think that you're going to actually solve it perfectly. Step number 2 is to gather all the information at hand so that you feel like you fully understand the situation as best as you can. If you can get to a 51% probability on making the decision, considering all the information that you have at hand, then you can proceed to make the decision already. Step number 4 is to just be at peace with the decision that you made, knowing that you made it with all of the information that you had available at hand. It really is just as simple as that, and if someone like Obama, who has so many world-changing tough decisions to make all the time, can do it, then you can absolutely overcome your anxiety around decision making as well. If you're into mental health tips and general overall well-being, then do check out the other videos on my channel. I also post stuff on self-improvement and productivity as well. Take care guys, and see you in the next video.